Akosia mata seedie na mwankasa mwanitia ensem ahodo ena mede bi ebedomu na empenimfo ebu bebi se waduane ene yendi a wasem die yebeka papa abusia sa wobehwe a eye Bank of Ghana ensensem ya abayi die enya asem keto akwa obia e che ne die eno ena eye Bernard Okoe Boye ede ne die aba na ne dia wodi aba de eye NDC for de omo ho afa omo yepa wa so asi eye NDC for propaganda sem ene de wa break omo down wa silence omo gidigidi a eye asem keto ne nsem a o twe nyina se wa se NDC for enim no kra no but se omo be tu omo anu ntwo na omo ka no kra ne de omo boa omo aye omo adwen se omo nka no kra ne ba kokra eno ena Bernard eni abre seja awaso asi NDC forso ebusia stay tuned to Aweiy3 like it comment it share me videos ni for my ne yenko tie ensem a Okoe Boye e de abadwa so bi embra
paying an average of this amount, we still believe it is untenable. What it means that now you are providing a solution that will help us even going into the future. How do you cut this? Then you suggest maybe do ABC. If you want to help this country, if we don't get into these details, this my brother would shout all the shouting. Power might come to them, and the next time you get BOG expenditure, you will be spending on the average $20 or $30 million on this maintenance cost. Hope you get what I'm saying. So we have to be dispassionate. There was another one on communications. Again, I listened to NDC communicators. The impression was that Bakura Bisobi said, hey, now press conference, oh baby, communications, oh, Obi. No, so you see,
no, communication, media for
exactly, Obi.
Obi,
you see, Obi, you see, so Obi, this is, you know, me point in say, because some people have an intrinsic bias and they are looking for power, they might act in a way that will sway people along.
Yes.
But say 2 minutes, bano one shot, the AC, it will be worse. Obi, look, without even seeking to go off course, let me, what's the word? We use a particular word, I just forgot. Let me digress a little bit. When Kufuor was about to leave office, the story in this country, when you listen, Ghana was like a failed state based on the story of the opposition. Accounts of officers were splashed. It was even more than the results of BOG. The atmosphere that this was a corrupt regime that had to go. People were hungry, kids were on the streets. Then power changed. For 8 good years, we had the people, Eric and Crawford. When they were leaving 2016, what was the story in this country? See, so my point is that if we don't take our time and go into details, people will sing songs, we will change, and yet we'll be at the same place, Obi. So me now in Kase, Obi spending recklessly or BOG, my and Fanny Sankano. But let's focus on the details. Communications. They say, oh, press conference for Obi. Only to be told, say, Forex platforms are more operating with. I am a transfer from abroad,
Bloomberg,
license for whatever they are using. Obi, a health insurance. Me IT too strong. Me one of my IT department, say some licenses for software or Windows or whatever. Obi, the money was big, about $400,000. Timika mean sign. I don't see why this plenty money will go into these licenses. And to me, friend IT guy, I'm sure to bet me mommy another source cheaper. And I got a friend say, they are the only people who do it. If I don't do it, they are even about to close their window. It might cost more. And I'm afraid my IT guy say, next time you should bet me for another corner now. The point I'm making is that it was a license in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. If the comms, these things are there, what you do is that check how much they are paying for the license. If average it costs $500,000, but they are paying $2 million, investigate and interrogate it. This is how we benefit from discussions. Than to sing the song that, hey, comes here, whoa, now according to Obi, board expenses. Obi a simple calculation. Well, $8 million was spent on the board.
Yeah.
And I was divided by their number. And to see average, then you should receive 80. It's a
80,000. Yeah, I think people repeat
exactly.
That. Yeah.
I'm not here to say whether that figure is sufficient or too much. But guess what I'll do? If you want to make progress as an organization, quick thing I'll do is that I'll look at every 4 years or every 3 years or 2 years. Just a period. You want trend. Obi, if you are Obi or critical in thinking, he always asks for a trend. So you know what is happening. If I check the trend and I realize that they spend an average of $1 million on the board, and there's not be a jump, then I go like, well, this is what they do, but is it okay or it must change? If it must change, what are the things? If it's discretion that is being applied, Obi, listen, oh, if it's discretion and the law allows it, then it is the law you have to look at. If the airline does not specify how the board behaves, then you look at this thing so that when you get what you want, and my prayer is that you don't get it now because I'm in the opposite part. But assuming you get power, you don't have a situation where you have board members at BOG who will say that we are allowed to do the same thing. Obi, please, you get what I'm saying. So, Mepacho, the Aweiy church, and they said something about the account, the debts.
Yes.
Obi, what was their books like before COVID struck? And when I say before, people say like, why is it? But you see, Obi, because of politics and other factors, someone will say, don't mention it. But for Christ's sake, when John Mahama went to Harvard and gave his speech, John Mahama, who is looking for power, mentioned the critical and very significant role COVID has played in throwing the fiscal picture of the whole continent out of place. John Mahama. Do you know why John Mahama stated that? Mahama knew, say, if he had not spoken like that and he had gotten out of the platform, they would see him as a joke. But when Mahama comes here to Ghana, in our country, because he's looking power, and he knows that the audience is different, he tells us that never mention COVID. Obi, I'm being brutally frank with you. And let me be honest, all our woes are not due to COVID, I admit. All of Ghana's woes are not due to COVID. Our debt accumulation contributed. When Dr. Bamia gave the speech, he even broke down the debts into our 3 components. Spoke about what was used in terms of the financing we had to do with COVID. Spoke about some of the energy agreements we had and how inefficient they were. And then spoke, I think, on the 3rd one about the banking sector reforms. Obi. So it's not COVID that accounted for everything. But it is not amazing that in speaking about Jechi Kwesin's case, the NDC tells you that COVID made the renunciation letter delay. That one they are okay. Otherwise, on a normal day, someone would have asked, how can you have a relationship between an MP's legality and COVID, a virus? But they explain it to you. But when it comes to the fiscal and macroeconomics, they don't want to hear. The NDC is aware that the price of cement jumped 2-3 times, not because anything had changed in Ghana, but because the cost of freight went up about 400-500%. They know. But because they are looking for power, Obi. Oh, sorry.
Omo paper wenti.
Omo paper wenti. Cement bono on catch uda. Say raw material na free Norway no. Ya 2 times 3. AJ will not tell you. But what is interesting is that Okoe Boye will tell you. So that if you decide or you are thinking of changing to bring a J, know that the cost might be the same or might even increase, Obi. That is what we are supposed to be. I was saying you're brutally frank with the issues. Now, Obi, Adiba kwa mpese meka, and he say, Bank of Ghana. Obi, Bank of Ghana can be very, very. Obi, Bank of Ghana can be very deep. See, with all the adjustments I here to save the economy, so that Sebi, Yebenya policy credibility, ama Yatimanya finances from outside, BBI Kamano, they had to serve as the debt absorber. Obia Boni, Aweiy Sebi, it ends at on their plate. Why is it ending on their plate? Because they are the bank for the government. Now, when a bank gives loans and the loans become bad debts, it reflects on their books. Is that not it? Look, in this country, young Crawford Marco Court, Obitio, Marco Pacho say, Ampa Omo Diaboni, Omo Maya Shesika, people who are directors of banks, and they are negotiating with the cost to pay the money back to the state.
There's a law for that.
Please, I'm coming.
Cleo Bagini. You see, Doc. You see, Doc.
Eric Manning.
You see,
Obi Boom Rasso.
Eric Manning. Bank of Ghana insists so mum
yes.
And they let him finish talking.
So, point to me and he said, the last person who had to shield them, at least so that the state does not collapse, so the financial system does not disintegrate, is the Bank of Ghana. They've explained. Now,
why should it disintegrate?
Please, I'm coming. You see, again, when you mention other countries, you say, oh, don't go there. But you see, I like the response, especially when they cite other place. And just say they are conscious. You are a deep person. When anybody tries to create the impression, or tries to cut said, oh, you will be super isolated. You have to let them know what is happening across. The Bank of England, and then reckless state, check their debt accumulation at the central bank over the past 6 years. Obi, you say so, you speak like that because you want power. But when you get to the power, and again I say God forbid, because I'm not on your side.